So let me paint a picture for you. 6 months ago, you landed your first real part-time job. You were making just enough to cover your basics, and you told yourself, finally, I can stop stressing about money now. I will save a little every month. I will be responsible. I will actually get ahead even for once. Fast forward to today. You are making the exact same amount, maybe even a little more higher. But somehow, you have less money left at the end of every week than you did before you started working. Your bank balance looks worse than it did when you had no income at all. You are eating out more. You are buying things you do not really need at all. You are spending money the moment it hits your account, almost like it burns a hole in your pocket the second it arrives. And the craziest part is that you are already telling yourself that if you could just get more hours or land a better paying job or get that internship that pays well, then you would finally stop. Then you would finally feel in control. It sound familiar, right? Yeah, I thought so. My name is TJ, and I spend way too much time thinking about why more money never seems to solve the money problem for students and recent graduates, and most Gen Z around 18 to 30 years old. If you are someone who gets paid and somehow feels broker a week later than you did before payday, or if you have ever bought something you did not need just to feel better for a few days or weeks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out at the end. Because today we are not talking about budgeting apps or spending trackers. We are talking about the actual psychology underneath the behavior. And once you understand it, you will never look at your spending the same way again. Here is the thing. What you are experiencing is not a personal failure at all. It is not that you are bad with money. It is not that you are lazy or irresponsible, or that you just need more self-control. What you are experiencing is one of the most well-documented psychological patterns in human behavior. And it has a name. It is called doom spending. And it is running quietly in the background of almost every financial decision you make. So, what exactly is doom spending? Doom spending is when you spend money, not because you need something, and not even really because you want it, but because spending gives you a brief moment of relief from financial anxiety, stress, or a feeling of hopelessness about your money situation. It sounds like this in your head. I am already broke anyway. I might as well enjoy something. Or, nothing I do makes a difference financially, so I might as well buy this. Or, I have been stressed all week. I deserve this treat. And for about 4 minutes after the purchase, you feel better. There is a small hit of relief, a tiny moment of control in a situation that feels out of control. Then the guilt arrives. Then the anxiety comes back, usually worse than before. And then, the next time you feel stressed or hopeless about money, the cycle starts again. This is the doom loop. And most Gen Z, students, and recent graduates are experiencing it at higher rates than any other group right now. Here is why this generation specifically is so vulnerable to it. A 2024 study by Intuit Credit Karma found that 43% of Gen Z experiences what researchers call financial anxiety so severe it affects their daily decision-making. Not just mild worry, actual anxiety that changes the choices they make every single day. And separate research found that when people experience chronic financial anxiety, their brain responds by seeking short-term relief through spending, even when that spending makes the long-term situation worse. Think about what that means for a student or a recent graduate right now. You are watching housing costs go up. You are looking at student loan balances that feel impossible. You are comparing your life to people on social media who appear to have everything figured out already. You are starting your financial life at a moment when everything feels harder and more expensive than it was for any generation before yours. And your brain, doing exactly what brains are designed to do, responds to that chronic stress by reaching for the fastest available relief, which in 2026 is one tap away on a phone, one click, one delivery, one purchase that feels like a small win in a situation that otherwise feels completely out of your control. That is not weakness. That is psychology. And understanding the difference changes everything about how you approach it. Now let me show you the 3 specific patterns doom spending takes for students and recent graduates, and even most Gen Z between the age of 18 to 30 years old. Because doom spending does not look the same for everyone. And knowing which pattern is yours is the first step to actually interrupting it. Pattern 1. The payday flush. This is the most common pattern for students and recent graduates with part-time jobs or entry-level salaries. The moment money hits your account, you spend it. Not all of it immediately, though, but most of it, and fast. Within 3 to 4 days of payday, your account is already looking thin again, and the cycle restarts. The psychology behind this pattern is rooted in what researchers call scarcity mindset. When you have been running low on money for a long time, your brain starts to treat any money that arrives as temporary. It does not feel safe to hold on to it, because experience has taught you it will disappear anyway. So you spend it before something else takes it. You buy the things you have been telling yourself you cannot afford. You treat yourself because you finally can. And within a week, you are back to where you started. Amelia is 21. She works 15 hours a week at a coffee shop while studying full-time. Every time she gets paid, she buys something. New clothes, takeaway food, a beauty product she saw on TikTok. By day 5 after payday, she has less than $20 left and 3 weeks until the next paycheck. She is not reckless at all. She is running on a brain that learned money disappears fast. So spend it while it is here. Pattern 2, the stress purchase. This pattern is tied directly to emotional state rather than payday timing. The stress purchase happens after a hard day, a difficult exam, a fight with a roommate, a rejection from an internship, or any moment of high emotional discomfort. The spending is an emotional regulation tool. It is your brain using the fastest available method to shift how you feel, even temporarily. Research from the American Psychological Association consistently shows that financial stress is the #1 stressor reported by adults under 30. And when stress is chronic, meaning it does not go away, people develop automatic coping behaviors that provide short-term relief even when the long-term cost is high. For students and recent graduates, this often looks like food delivery after a bad lecture, online shopping after a stressful week of deadlines, a night out with friends after receiving a piece of bad financial news. Even when you know you cannot really afford it, the spending is not random. It is directly connected to emotional pain. And the relief it provides is real. It just does not last. And it makes the underlying financial situation worse each time it happens. Tyler is 23. He just graduated and is in the gap between university and his first real job. Every time he gets a rejection email from a job application, he orders food. Not because he is hungry, because the act of ordering something, choosing something, receiving something, gives him back a feeling of control in a moment when everything else feels out of his hands. He has spent over $300 on delivery in the last 6 weeks. Every single order followed a rejection email within 2 hours. Pattern 3, the comparison spiral. This is the pattern that is most specific to Gen Z, and it is driven entirely by social media. You are scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. You see someone your age in a nice apartment, wearing new clothes, eating at a restaurant you cannot afford, traveling somewhere you have never been. Your brain compares your private reality to their public highlight reel, and the gap between the two creates a specific kind of financial pain. Not just stress, but a feeling of being behind, of missing out, and of being left behind by your own generation. And doom spending kicks in as a response to that gap. You cannot afford the apartment, but you can afford the same brand of coffee they drink. You cannot take the trip, but you can buy the outfit. You close the gap symbolically, through small purchases that signal belonging, status, and participation in a life that actually feels out of reach. This is why Gen Z doom spending is so heavily concentrated in categories like food, fashion, beauty, and experiences. Not because these are frivolous categories, but because these are the categories most visible on social media. You are not just buying a coffee, you are buying a feeling of being part of something. Most Gen Z spends an average of 4.6 hours per day on social media, and research published in 2024 found a direct correlation between social media consumption and impulse spending among 18 to 30-year-olds, independent of income level. The more time spent scrolling, the more doom spending occurs. Not because of the content itself, but because of the comparison mechanism it triggers. So what do you actually do about it? The answer is not to cut up your card, delete your apps, and live on nothing for 3 months. That approach fails almost every time for the same reason extreme dieting fails, because deprivation creates rebound. The restriction becomes unsustainable, you break, and the spending that follows is usually worse than if you had never restricted at all. Here is what actually works instead. Step 1. Name your pattern. Go back through your last 30 days of spending and identify which of the three patterns shows up most in your own behavior. Is it the payday flush, the stress purchase, or the comparison spiral? Most people have a dominant pattern. Knowing yours matters because each pattern has a different specific intervention. Step 2. For the payday flush, automate a transfer the same day you get paid. Before you spend anything, move a fixed amount into a separate savings account. Not a large amount. Even $10 or $20 is enough to start building the habit. The key is that it happens automatically, on payday, before your brain has the chance to decide the money should go somewhere else. You are not saving what is left. You are spending what remains after saving. Step 3. For the stress purchase, build a 24-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase that you feel the urge to make during or immediately after a stressful moment gets added to a list or a cart and left there for 24 hours. Not deleted, not forbidden, just delayed. In most cases, the emotional state that created the urge has passed by the next day, and without the emotional pressure driving it, most of those purchases simply do not happen. Step 4. For the comparison spiral, conduct a 1-week social media audit. For 7 days, every time you open Instagram, TikTok, or any other platform and feel the urge to spend something afterward, write down what you saw, what you felt, and what you almost bought. At the end of the week, look at the list. The pattern between what you consumed and what you almost spent money on will be impossible to ignore. Once you can see the trigger clearly, you can interrupt it before it reaches your wallet. Step 5. Replace the doom loop with a dopamine substitute. The reason doom spending works as a coping mechanism is that it genuinely does produce a small hit of dopamine, the brain chemical associated with reward and relief. The fix is not to eliminate that need for relief. It is to route it through something that does not cost money or leave you feeling worse afterward. A walk, a specific playlist, a phone call with someone who makes you laugh, a game, anything that produces a similar emotional release without the financial cost or the guilt that follows. Amelia started automating $20 to savings on every payday. Not because $20 is life-changing, but because it trained her brain to experience money arriving and staying, instead of money arriving and disappearing. 3 months in, she had $60 saved. That is not a large number, but it is the first time in 2 years that she has had anything left over at all. The payday flush still happens sometimes, but it happens less. And each time it does, she catches it a little faster. Tyler still gets rejection emails. He still feels the pull to order food immediately afterward. But he started the 24-hour rule. In the last month, he added 11 items to his delivery cart in moments of stress, and actually ordered 3 of them. The other 8 he never went back to. He saved roughly $90 in a single month, just by adding one step between the urge and the action. The doom loop does not disappear overnight. But here is what I need you to hear. Doom spending is not a character flaw. It is a predictable psychological response to financial stress, social comparison, and a world that has made it easier than ever to spend money in the exact moment your brain is most desperate for relief. You are not broken, you are human, and being human means you have the capacity to recognize the pattern and choose differently, one decision at a time. The students and recent graduates who break the doom loop are not the ones with more willpower. They are the ones who stopped trying to fight the psychology and started working with it instead. If this video made something click for you, if you recognized yourself in one of those 3 patterns, do me a favor and share it with one student or recent graduate who needs to hear this, because we do not talk about this enough. We talk about students' loans and credit card. We rarely talk about why the behavior happens in the first place. Hit subscribe because this channel is going to keep going deeper on the psychology behind money until none of it feels confusing anymore. I will see you in the next one.